Hey guys, I'm Brittany Hughes, you're watching MRC-TV, and this is your reality check. As the November presidential election gets closer, the debate over election fraud and voter ID laws is just bound to rear its partisan head. And you know what we'll all be told. Get ready for the liberal mantra that voter ID laws oppress minorities, and that requiring a person to prove that they are who they say they are and that they have a legal right to vote in this country makes it harder for persons of color to get to a ballot box. Get ready for sob stories about crowds of people being turned away at the voting booths, told by liberal talking heads who can't prove that any of this actually happened. Prepare yourself for a lecture on how a $10 state ID card and a trip to the local DMV are somehow just too much for minorities to handle. Never mind that blacks turned out to vote at a higher rate than whites did in 2012, even in states with the strictest voter ID laws. Never mind that there's no whites-only express lane at the DMV. And never mind that you have to show your photo ID to get into, well, just about any other place in our society. And while the left drones on and on about all of this racist, phobic persecution against minorities, if you happen to be one of those crazy bigots like me who thinks that the integrity of our election system should actually be protected, just remember this. A recent Gallup poll actually shows that minorities support voter ID laws. According to the poll, 3 out of 4 non-white persons in the U.S. actually support having to show a photo ID before you vote, throwing a nice logic-sized wrench into the claim that blacks and Hispanics are universally opposed to these laws. After all, if this law was so oppressive that it kept minorities from voting, wouldn't they all be against it? If blacks and Latinos were being systematically turned away from polling booths, wouldn't they have a problem here? See, not only does this poll prove that minorities actually support voter ID laws, it also proves a couple of simple facts that pretty much act as liberal kryptonite. It proves that the claim that voter ID laws make it harder for eligible minorities to vote is a lie. It also proves that minorities can actually think for themselves. In fact, the ones who actually take the time to show up and vote care just as much about the integrity of our political process as everyone else. Because it's just good common sense to not want your legitimate vote to be canceled out by someone who should not be voting. See, liberal politicians and talking heads, they love discrimination. Because the more you make someone feel oppressed or marginalized, the easier they are to control with policies designed to fix all of this so-called oppression. It's mass-scale brainwashing through false sympathy. But the vast majority of persons of color aren't buying into this notion that voter ID laws are evil, conservative creations meant to flood the voting booths with milky white Americans. Like everyone else, most of them know that voting in the United States is a privilege offered to law-abiding citizens. If you assume that having to prove that you're a law-abiding citizen is harder on minorities than white people, or that minorities somehow can't be trusted to uphold the small responsibility they have to get a photo ID just like white people, well, who's the racist now? And that's your reality check, America. Stay sane out there. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, check out more on our YouTube page or at mrctv.org. And make sure that you like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.